Make sure you check down in the description below so that you can find out how to purchase a SmallTown Collectibles comic book mystery box and how to get a discount code at Street Level Hero LA. Get 10% off your order and raise some money for a great cause. Today, we're going to talk about the first appearances and key issues for the greatest day of the week. New Comic Book Day, October 27th, 2021. It's going to be a fun week this week, so let's get started. I'm Jimmy Don Kerr, and this is the SmallTown Collectibles YouTube channel. So before we get into talking about the first appearances, the key issues, and the covers this week for New Comic Book Day, I want to ask you, if you haven't already, hit that subscription button, turn on that notification bell so that you get notified when I put out new content. Hit that like button if you like the video, and leave a comment below and let me know what books you're looking at this week. Do you like the list this week? What keys, what covers, what first appearances do you know about that might not be on the list? And let's have a conversation about New Comic Book Day. All right, with all that out of the way, let's jump into our first category, and that is the covers. So I actually have a few covers on the list this week. There were a lot of covers that stood out to me, and the first one is DC versus the Vampires, #1, the Cover B variant by Francisco Mattina. Now, I am a big fan of these covers by Mattina. The Deceased title that came out probably a year or so ago had all the zombified covers of all our favorite superheroes, and this is another one of those with Batman, and I just absolutely love them. I don't know why, but every time I see one, I have to have it, and this is a definite pickup for me this week. So next up this week, and I'm going to say the most beautiful cover of the week, it's Wonder Girl #4, the Cover B variant by Jamal Campbell. Just a very, very beautiful cover of Wonder Girl. I really like the facial likeness, the colors, just the whole thing that comes together in this cover. This is a definite pickup for me this week. Then we have, and on all these covers seem to be from DC, Task Force Z #1, the Cover E Incentive by Kyle Holtz. And this is one of the Arkham Knight variant covers. This again is just kind of one of those zombified covers. And I guess in this case, the Arkham Knight version of that. Now the one that I have pictured here is the 1 in 50 variant. There is a 1 in 100 that's black and white. That's really cool. I really like the color version of this cover. And this particular book over on Midtown, they had priced for $36. Now, I don't know if I'm a $36 buyer with this cover, but I do dig it, and if I think I can find it for a decent price, it may be one that I grab as well. And wrapping up the covers this week is Vengeance of Vampirella, Volume 2, #23. This is the Cover In Incentive by Lucio Perillo, and this is the Tint Virgin cover. I was talking to my buddy Joe, he does, and I want to shoot you over there. He does a New Comic Book Day video, and he does it for the covers. And he had the Perillo cover on there as well on his list. And I commented on the video, and I was like, man, I just really love that Perillo cover. And his response was, I don't know that I've ever seen a Perillo cover that I don't like. And I have to agree with Joe. Perillo's covers, for whatever reason, just really stand out. And I really like the look of all the work that he does. So this Vengeance of Vampirella, Volume 2, #23, this Tint Virgin cover, it's a must-have for me this week. All right, that wraps up the covers this week. We do have several second prints, so let's jump into those right now. First up, and one of my favorite reads of 2021 is Barbaric #1. This is the Cover L 4th printing. If you haven't read Barbaric, it's definitely something you need to go check out. It's completed at this point, and I'm sure there'll be a trade coming out. But Barbaric #1, you got the 4th print this week. Then we jump over to a title that has multiple issues with multiple prints this week, and that is Basilisk. We've got Basilisk #1, the Cover G 3rd print by Jonas Scharf. Then we have Basilisk #2, Cover F 3rd print by Jonas Scharf. And Basilisk #3, Cover E, 2nd printing by Jonas Scharf. Then we have Deadbox #1, Cover C, 2nd print. Human Remains #1, Cover F, 2nd print. The Last Book You'll Ever Read #1, Cover H, 3rd printing. Another good title. If you like indie books, I really dug that one. 3rd print on that one this week. And then wrapping up the second or multiple printing list this week is Phantom Star Killer #1 Cover D, 4th printing with a glow in the dark cover. That it is pretty cool. When I was looking through these, I was looking through the second prints. I was like, well, that's kind of neat. So if you like glow in the dark, black light kind of things, then Phantom Star Killer #1's for you, baby. All right, that's all the multiple printings this week. Let's go ahead and jump over into our key issues. So as we always do with the key issues, we're going to start with DC, and got a few books from DC this week. You got Batman, The Long Halloween Special #1. That's a 48-page one-shot addition to the Long Halloween franchise. If you've never read the Long Halloween Batman story, it's really good. It's probably one of the best and most well-known stories in the Batman mythos. This is one I'm definitely going to grab. I love the original. And then to have this Long Halloween special here at Halloween, that really kind of checks the box for me. So that's one I'm definitely going to pick up. Then you've got Batman Fortnite Foundation #1, and this is a one-shot follow-up to the DC Fortnite Team-Up series. There is a code, just like all the previous Fortnite books. There's an unlockable code for Batman Who Laughs outfit and a loading screen. I have no idea what that means when they say loading screen, but I'm sure it's something cool that all the young kids out there that play Fortnite know. And then wrapping up the key issues for DC this week is a title I'm really kind of excited to read, and that's DC versus Vampires #1. This is a James Tynion book with Matthew Rosenberg writing as well. The synopsis on this one is the Justice League has long protected Earth from all manner of foreign and alien invaders over the years, always keeping a vigilant eye to the skies for the next threat. But what if the threat was already walking the Earth, hiding in plain sight, watching, waiting for the moment to strike? This is a 12-issue limited series, and of course this will be outside of DC continuity. So these books are fun, especially if you're a DC fan, like Deceased, Dead Planet, those books. I really enjoyed those, and I kind of guess I like the zombie stories and the horror stories. But you got the DC heroes versus some vampires. Sounds pretty cool to me. All right, let's move over to Marvel. And I only had one Marvel book on the key issues this week, and that's Darkhold Blade #1. This is a one-shot where Blade takes on Chitin. Blade is one of those characters I don't know a ton about, but every time he shows up in a story, I love him. So I'm going to grab this one and give it a read. And I'm also going to kind of look back on some Blade. Now, I love the movie. Wesley Snipes' Blade. Love the movie. But I've never really read a lot of the books. So Blade's a character I'm kind of interested in finding a little more out about. And so we've got this one shot this week, Darkhold Blade #1. All right, that wraps up the keys for Marvel. So let's jump over to our indies. And we've got a few titles this week. First off, from Advent, we've got Southside #1. In this hard-hitting crime noir thriller, Dalton Malone returns home to the mean streets of Washington, D.C. to search for the murderer of his friend and to get revenge. But Malone quickly finds that trouble comes much easier than the answers in his quest. Sounds like a pretty fun book to me. Then from Aftershock, we've got Cross to Bear #1. The Order, an organization made up of the descendants of the Crusaders sworn to eradicate the unnatural, hunt down the famed serial killer Jack the Ripper. So I'm definitely going to grab this one. I love a good Jack the Ripper tale. This one sounds pretty good to me, so I can't wait to check that one out from Aftershock. The next one is from Behemoth, and I put this strictly on the list because I thought the synopsis was funny, and that is Pop Star Assassin #1. The year is 1977. The king is dead. The world mourns. But when a mysterious briefcase turns up in his dressing room, Bruce, a coke-addled Elvis impersonator, finds himself wedged between a mob boss out for revenge and a government conspiracy with far-reaching world-ending ramifications, all in an attempt to discover the true identity of his father's killer. It's sex, drugs, rock and robot 70s style in this all-out action adventure. Now, who wouldn't want to read that? Seriously, talk amongst yourselves for just a second. That sounds hilarious and it sounds fun. So if I can find this one, I'm grabbing Pop Star Assassin #1. Then we jump over to Dark Horse for all you Hellboy fans, and we've got Hellboy Silver Lantern Club #1. The Silver Lantern Club member Simon Bruttenholm relates a tale from the dawn of radio in which Sir Edward Grey and Sarah Jewell go toe-to-toe with technology. Not necessarily a big Hellboy guy, again, kind of like the movies. Haven't read a whole lot of Hellboy, but if you're a fan, you've got a title coming out this week. Next up from Image, we've got a spin-off from the Something is Killing the Children franchise. Words are hard. House of Slaughter #1. Discover the inner workings of the House of Slaughter in this new horror series exploring the secret history of the order that forged Erica Slaughter into the monster hunter she is today. You know Aaron Slaughter as Erica's handler and rival. But before he donned the black mask, Aaron was a teenage training within the House of Slaughter. Surviving within the school is tough enough, but it gets even more complicated when Aaron falls for a mysterious boy destined to be his competition. So yeah, Something is Killing the Children. I've said it many times, probably the title of 2020 for me. Definitely interested to jump in and read this spinoff. So that's House of Slaughter #1 from Image Comics. Then from publisher Red 5, we've got Merlin and Hector #1. Before King Arthur, Camelot, and Excalibur, an unremarkable young man with no magical ability teams up with an outcast named Hector to protect their village from rampaging monsters. So again, this is another title I'll probably check out. I like the stories, or at least the time frame of King Arthur, Camelot, and Excalibur. I really enjoy those types of stories, so I'm looking forward to checking out Merlin and Hector #1. Then from one of my favorite publishers, Scout Comics, we've got Swamp Dogs #1. And this is one of those, again, that the synopsis just sounds ridiculous, but so ridiculous that I want to read the book. Swamp Dogs #1. A squad of Confederate soldiers, resurrected from the dead by voodoo, go on the hunt for female flesh, and only one thing stands in their way. A stoner, heavy metal band named The Grunch. Like I said, ridiculous, but I'll read it, for sure. And then wrapping up our key issues on the indie side this week is from Source Point Press, and that is Winchester Mystery House #1. Thought to be one of the most haunted places in the world, the Winchester Mystery House is much more than an architectural wonder. It's a labyrinth full of secrets. Come step inside and hear the house whispers. So yeah, could be fun if you like a nice little horror story, haunted house, that kind of thing. Winchester Mystery House might be right up your alley. Alright, that is it for our key issues this week. Let's jump into our first appearances. Got a few this week as well. If you're a first appearance collector, there's definitely going to be some books to pick up. First one is Black Widow #12, and this is the first appearance of the Living Blade described as a haunting figure from Natasha's past and the only man that she fears. So that sounds kind of cool. And this is also the first appearance of another new unnamed villain. So yeah, I kind of like that. That whole Black Widow run's been really good. There's been a lot of cool first appearances, and probably a lot of stuff that we can maybe see down the road in the MCU or on Disney+. And then a first appearance in a book we just talked about, House of Slaughter #1, where you get the first appearance of Jace Boucher, or Boucher, maybe Boucher. I'm not sure how to say that. It's Boucher, but here in the hills, let's just say we call it Boucher. Next up from DC, we've got Task Force Z #1, where we get the first team appearance of Task Force Z, Red Hood, Bane, Man-Bat, Arkham Knight, and Mr. Bloom. We also get the first team appearance of the Resurrection Twins. So that could be a fun title. Again, got a lot of these like DC versus the Vampires, Task Force Z. I'm assuming Z stands for zombies. So yeah, and Red Hood's kind of hot right now, so you got this task force, and I really like who it's made up of. So I think that could be a fun read, and you get some cool first appearances there. Then you've got Spider-Woman #16, where you have the first full appearance of a superhero identity for Rebecca Marchand. Then Star Wars, as I say every week, got to have a Star Wars book on here. Star Wars, War of the Bounty Hunters, IG-88, #1. This is a one-shot War of the Bounty Hunters tie-in featuring Assassin Droid Bounty Hunter IG-88. And you get the first appearance of RB-919. And then wrapping up the first appearance list this week from Marvel, we have Sword, SWORD, #9, where we get the first team appearance of a new Lethal Legion. So there you go, guys. There's your covers, your key issues, your second printings, your first appearances for New Comic Book Day, October 27th, 2021. Hope that helps you guys out making some of your choices here on New Comic Book Day. Really, really appreciate you guys coming over, hanging out on my channel for a little bit, taking this content in. It's much, much appreciated. All right, guys, that's it for me. I hope you have the greatest New Comic Book Day ever. I know I'm going to have a good one. As I always end these things, until next time.